Hi, I'm Jared Fager, and welcome to my channel, Burdened by Types, where we teach that understanding and overcoming your personality type is the quickest, most efficient way to drastically improve every aspect of your life. And today's topic is you are currently losing because you are too rigid. From learning about psychology, we learned that there are 4 personality types. Of course, we could do a really long video on each one, but for this video, the way I want you to see them is as 4 value systems. What we find in studying psychology is we find that there is one of the values that values task. And this happens at a young age. This particular type of person is going to start to value task at a very high level. There's one value that is making sure that those around you are happy, or in other words, maybe even that people are getting along, and that might matter to you. There's another value is that people are taken care of. So not necessarily that the group is happy or that everyone is getting along, but that every person inside of the group has what they need. And then the last value would be that things are organized or in order, or that we make good decisions as a group. That's broad, but these are kind of our 4 value systems. And we learn this, and people start to learn and adapt these personalities from a very young age. What we also find is that each person values these 4 things differently, and everybody is going to value those. So one person, for instance, might value task number 1. They might value that people around them are happy. Number 2, they might value that things are organized or in order, and they might value that people have what they need last. And so what we find is that from unsuccessful people, they tend to value these 4 things, and they end up in all the actions of their life, whether it's their relationship, whether it's at work, they rigidly value these 4 things, and that's the way they approach the world. They make these things set, and they're very rigid. And from there on, almost every encounter they have with a person, every encounter they have with work, or every encounter that they have in life, they value these 4 things, and all of their actions are always done that exact same way. What we find from studying successful people is that they are more fluid in the way they value these things. They may even value, like most days, they might value task number 1, let's say. But what they have learned is over time is that always valuing task doesn't necessarily get them the things that they want when they want to be successful. Same for and that could be said for any of the 4. Maybe you have somebody who their highest value is that they want to make sure that the people around them are happy. But what they've learned is that idea of making sure that everyone around them is happy is not going to get them the best result in all the things that they do. And so what they have learned is that particular circumstances or particular times, they may have to reorder these values. So for instance, maybe they're at work and they need to get something done, or it's important that they are task oriented. What we find is at work, people who are task oriented generally do better than those that are not. And so maybe you have a person who really their core value is to make sure that everyone around them is happy, but maybe over time they have learned that valuing that number 1 isn't going to get them what they want. Now, what they might also learn is in a relationship, generally in relationships, valuing task number 1 is detrimental to the relationship in most cases. Maybe you know somebody like this. Maybe you know somebody who is task, and then they come home from work. Now they're around their family and they don't know how to turn off task. And so what happens is they end up pushing people away, making people feel unwanted, making people feel unloved, and that can be a real strain on their relationship. Or maybe you have somebody who really values that people get taken care of, and then they go to work, and instead of really getting honed in or focused on the work that they have to get done at work, they're running around the office making sure that people are taken care of. And what we find from these people is in work situations, they tend to do poorly. And when they're at home, they tend to be very loved. People love them. They have fulfilling relationships. And there's an imbalance to the way they are living their life. We also find maybe that somebody who is organized, the best time to be organized would be we're planning a trip, or we're discussing or making a decision. But then they may take that into work, or they may take that into a personal relationship, and that may not work as well. And so what we find from people who are successful is they have learned these four values, maybe at some subconscious level. They have learned that maybe they value task, or they value happiness, or they value being other people being taken care of, or maybe they even value being organized. But they understand that taking those values into every circumstance in their life is not going to get them what they want. And so that's what this video is really about. This is something for you to think about. How do you value these four items? I didn't give a great background on these four items, but maybe the best of your ability to think through, what do you value? What do you value first? What do you value second? What do you value third? What do you value fourth? And how are you aligning those values in your life to get what you want? Are you aligning them in a way that it's working for you? Are you aligning them in a way that in your relationships, your close relationships, this is working for you? Or are you finding that you're struggling in relationships, but maybe you're being successful at work? Maybe you find areas of your life that you're being successful in, and and probably what you're seeing is, in that particular circumstance, the value you have chosen, and you probably chose this at a very young age and a subconscious choice. So I'm not saying you consciously went through and chose that. But what you're finding is probably where you're being successful, the value that you have chosen is a workable value in that circumstance. But what you're also probably finding is in other areas of your life, that value is not working. And so what you can do is start to think about your values, think about how you are valuing them, and think about how you might be able to use the other values in those circumstances. Appreciate you guys being here. Hope this helps you in some way. We'll talk to you later. Bye.